Just grabbing this.
Good evening. Welcome to the Hollis Planning Board of Wednesday, April 8th, 2025. We'll start the evening with a roll call.
Tom Wachowski.
Greg McPherson.
Danielle Bradbury.
Butch Gannett.
And we have Heather Sullivan on Zoom.
Heather Sullivan.
And Nick, are you a resident or are you part of the planning board this evening? Nick, are you joining us as a member or a resident this evening?
As a resident. Sorry, I'm on the road.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to clarify that for anybody listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. First order of business is the correspondence. I didn't have any, unless anybody else had any. And secondly, reports. Code enforcement, select board, any other committees? Anybody on Zoom? Hearing none. All right, we'll move on to old business. First order of it on the agenda is a public hearing for Brecken Solar Project. Looking for a motion to suspend the planning board meeting and move to public hearing.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed?
Yes.
So moved. Oh, thank you, Heather. Awesome. So if you guys want to come up and give a quick, couple-minute presentation of recap if somebody wasn't here for the last couple meetings.
Yes, thank you. Hi, Rich Jordan from Paddle Energy. We're proposing the Brecken Solar Project. First off, thanks everybody here and in the public who showed up at the site walk earlier. I don't think anybody got ticks. We didn't go very far in the woods, so answered a bunch of questions there. I don't have a board tonight because that's at the Trail Riders Club meeting right now. So Jake, one of my colleagues, went over to talk to the ATV Club tonight. Somebody from the club showed up, and it was great timing. They had a few questions, so I think they'll be happy with our proposal. A couple other sort of housekeeping items, a few things that have changed. Lauren had a pet emergency tonight, so I'm going to be reading her email to me of the things we needed to cover.
Perfect.
So 1 second. A couple things on the site plan, a couple minor changes. We did get our DEP stormwater permit that came in, so I have copies of that. Lauren's talked to Heidi about bringing in copies. Site plan changes, we put a 75-foot buffer on the stream in the back that wasn't shown before. We had maintained it, but we hadn't shown it, so there's a buffer on the new plan. Again, talking to Heidi, the only things that changed were on the first three sheets. We only brought copies of the first three sheets, so I'll give those to you guys or get them to planning. A couple other things, we had a few questions on like where things were located, landowner name, parcel identification, that type of thing. We've updated all that on the new plans. And those are my major updates coming out of last week. Nothing really significant has changed other than, like I said, the plan changes, bringing that more in line with what was in the ordinance for you guys.
Perfect. So with that, we'll look to the public for any public comment. We'll start with anybody in the audience. Any comment? Dave, Ansi? Anybody on Zoom have any public comment regarding this project? Hearing none, going twice. So, awesome. So unless there's any public comment from the board, which shouldn't be, look for a motion to suspend the public hearing and return to planning board meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah.
So opposed? So moved. All right, we are now back in the planning board meeting of Wednesday, April 8th. And the next item on our agenda is the site plan review for the Brecken Solar Review Project. So this afternoon we had a site walk. We got to see the entrance, what the site looks like. There was quite a few people there. The comments from the site walk that were made were the project agreed to provide some fire training to the fire department initially upon construction, and then once every 5 years after, as needed. The project is going to reconstruct the ATV trail to connect it in a similar manner that is existing. So they're not going to make a highway, but they'll make a similar trail as to what is there. And they're still waiting on their CMP permit. Anybody have any other notes from tonight's site walk?
I have nothing.
Tommy, I know you had a few notes.
No, just the timeline was 2026-ish.
And that was due to a CMP.
Realistic timeline.
Realistic timeline, yeah. I'll honestly know more tomorrow. Tomorrow they're having a big hearing at CMP, or a public meeting, to let people know what this new study is going to result in terms of delays for projects. We do have an interconnection agreement, so you mentioned we don't have our permit from DEP. Effectively, we do, but they're within their rights to sort of stop interconnection work and just study. So that's what they're doing, and tomorrow we'll find out for sure which projects are going to get enveloped into that study. So if our project gets thrown into that, it'll be 2026 construction. If it doesn't, 2025, probably late summer.
Great. No, that's all I had.
Okay. I apologize for not being here last meeting to discuss this. I was out sick, unfortunately. Couple questions that I had. Are you going to need a main general construction permit for this from the DEP?
Yeah, so we have our stormwater permit by rule. So
Yep.
we got that. They recently revised the rules for main stormwater general permits. We have to get the operator. And the operator is the person who has day-to-day construction, who actually controls day-to-day construction. So we'll have to file that before we start construction with the DEP.
Yeah. Please provide a town with a copy of that.
Absolutely. Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. CEOs are generally copied.
Perfect.
Again, we can add that as a condition too, that we can get
Yep.
the planning board a copy too.
Yeah. Just code enforcement is acceptable to me.
Perfect.
I don't think we need to see a copy as long as we have a copy on record.
Perfect. And I know they do. They by rote they copy the notice of intent approval that went to Dwayne. So
Perfect.
also, just while you're writing, it's Bracken. You keep saying Bracken.
So I do.
You can't do names. He butchers my name all the time.
So it's named Bracken fern. Super ubiquitous fern that
Not
grows
gonna
in these sandy woods like this, and I think it'll be really. It will grow in our solar farm. So Bracken fern. It's the fern you see on the power lines. It's named after a fern.
It's the one you look for when you don't have wetlands.
Correct.
I know that. I know what it looks like. Plenty of wetland savories. Just can't
Exactly.
see it. And then the set of plans you gave tonight, I just was looking through, and I want to just make sure that the fence detail matches the requirements. I want to make sure there's a note on there that has the distance between the ground and the bottom of the fence. So the site installer has that when they go to install it.
Yes, I think it's in the details.
I was just reading it in the past couple minutes, so I didn't. If it is, I apologize. It's small, and
I don't have the detail sheets with me, but I think it's on the detail sheet we're doing the wildlife fence with the. I think it's either 6 or 8 inches off the ground, or
8
it's got
inches is what I had heard earlier.
6 or 8 inch holes.
yeah. Okay, it does. I apologize. It does say maintain existing 8-inch fit off existing ground. I missed
Okay,
that.
yeah.
I apologize. It was
No
just-
worries.
Just so on the same page, 8-inch holes,
No.
8
2
inches
inch
off the
holes,
ground.
8 inches off the ground.
So there should be no fence. The first 8 inches.
Correct.
Is that what it's written as? Yeah. Sometimes we just
Okay.
so they have the wildlife fence that has like
Right.
super big holes in the bottom that
Yep.
everybody flips upside down.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it's not the 8-inch holes, or excuse me.
right.
The whole fence needs to be 8 inches.
Okay.
off the
Yeah.
ground. That's
Yeah.
I want to say almost 100% confident that's how it's written.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's easy enough to do.
Yeah,
That's
it-
actually easier
I was
Yeah.
gonna say easier than the.
because
Yeah.
then we can use uniform
Yeah.
agricultural fencing. Yeah.
And it does say maintain fence off existing ground. So that's how the detail is
Okay.
written.
Perfect. Yeah. Sorry. Too many projects.
Nope. Hey, I completely understand. So I missed some of the comments last week. Heather, did you have anything additional on this project?
I do not have anything additional.
Butch, Danielle?
I am not.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, last meeting, you guys found the application complete?
Yep.
And that was voted
Correct.
on? So, the next item would be, to make a decision on the project. However, we do have one small roadblock. There was a miscommunication within the town hall about, or within the town itself, about some notifications for the public hearing. They didn't make it to the town website, which is required to be 7 days prior to. Nobody's fault, just something that fell through the cracks when we had some personnel changes. So with that, I think the remedy is to have a second public hearing. I know there was nobody here tonight, but just to make sure that we're following the ordinance.
Yeah, it's fine.
My opinion is to have a second public hearing, just so we have we're following the ordinance to a T. Unless anybody else has other comments about that, or other thoughts?
No, that makes sense. It's perfectly clear in the ordinance that it's supposed to be on the website. So the conversation last time was we ended up doing the notifications in the paper and we mailed everything.
Yeah.
Do we have to do that again?
Bennett is shaking her head yes. Because otherwise
Do
it
you want
wouldn't.
us to do that again, or
Uh,
we can?
I disagree that we have to do it again. I think that we properly noticed in the newspaper and properly noticed the abutters for this public hearing. So if we post up the one piece we missed, I don't think we should have to do abutters and Portland Press Herald again. Why would we? It's just two separate public hearings.
Logically,
I would say the language on like page 74 or whatever, I think it just references the website, which I don't know why we didn't notify you of the last time, because that would have been easier. I only know the page number because I looked in the parking lot.
74 on my page is a different one than.
Do you want me
Okay.
to look at
I'm
mine?
sure
Mine
74
might be more
74 and mine
updated.
is different from yours.
Okay, yeah, sorry, it's whatever.
Mine might be newer.
Says, oh, this is changing, never mind. Sorry, let me go, I'll find it.
Do you have that? You have a computer in front of you, Heather? Can you search that?
Yes, sir, I'm looking for it right now.
Heather is our official.
Esteemed.
Esteem, that's the word I was looking for, yes.
It is.
Researcher.
Fantastic, amazing researcher.
Common sense says no, but I am worried.
Common sense has-
No, I definitely want to dot all the i's and lowercase j's.
That would be my concern, so I'll just wait to see what Heather has to say.
77 on mine.
This is major, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, under major, it says, public notice of the public hearing or site walk shall be posted on the town website at least 7 days prior to the date of the hearing. Notice shall also be sent to CEO and other town officials and to all landowners abutting the subject property, provided that the failure of those notified to receive such notice shall not invalidate the decision of the board.
Whoa.
So this public hearing that we just had, we provided the proper notice to everything except the town website.
It is a separate public hearing.
I would propose a compromise of just sending letters, just so I don't have to do the Press Herald again.
I just hate to have it be an issue.
So I think, so if we put on the website, this code enforcement officer, other officials, and to all landowners abutting, I don't think it needs, I agree, it doesn't say newspaper in that ordinance. So I'm okay with not putting in the Portland Press Herald. And it doesn't clarify certified mail. Thoughts? Just,
I'm fine with that.
I think that's fine.
it was an oversight on the town's part, so I'm willing to concede. I think that works. If we can get letters to the abutters as, 7.72C. And we'll get on the website this time. I apologize for that. I was just,
No, that's fine. As
so
we
yeah,
talked
I
about.
think if that's a good compromise, and that should cover us according to the ordinance. That way, there's no surprises, or nobody can come back in 5 years and say, well, you guys didn't do this.
Perfect. No, that sounds great.
Perfect. The next question is, do you guys want to go over the standards of approval now, or the next meeting after the public hearing?
I think we should do it now.
Okay. That was my thought as well.
It could be all written up and ready to sign after the public hearing, assuming that we have the same response as we had to this public hearing.
Perfect. All right, so we are on section 7.7.5, standards of approval. I will read through these items. If members of the board could give examples of why this project meets every item, this is page 78. That would be great, so we have it on record. And then we have a couple other conditions of approval that we can add at the end as well. All right, so A, all performance standards of this ordinance applicable to proposed use will be met. We have
7.7.
0.5, page 78 in the latest ordinance.
Mine just says page 7.
All right, so yeah, so as you know, all performance standards need to be met that are in this ordinance. B, the use is consistent with the comprehensive plan, public resources identified in the comprehensive plan or related study, including aquifers, shoreline areas, wildlife areas, and access thereto are protected.
I'd say yes.
Can you anybody give some examples as to how or
Yeah,
why?
it's in a growth zone identified in the comprehensive plan.
Yep.
Wildlife areas are protected by their 8-inch fences, stayed up or lifted up from the ground so that little critters can get through. And they've done their DEP study, or what's it called, study?
Yep. And we have buffers to
Well, thank you.
natural resources. Excuse me. The use will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat.
Wetland surveys have been delineated and avoided, or wetland areas,
And the fence is
and the
appropriate
fence.
for wildlife.
No vernal pools.
Access to the site from existing or proposed roads is safe and adequate. The proposed use will not aggravate or cause undue traffic congestion.
You want to hit D?
Yeah, I'll get to it. Sufficient parking and traffic circulation on the site of the development will avoid conflicts with adjoining properties and streets.
They've got a traffic plan. They've explained it a couple of times now, how to get in and out. And once everything's built, from what they've explained, it's not really going to be much of a trafficked site.
This will be an unmanned site, and during construction, they have a proposed laydown yard on Killick Pond, which has plenty of traffic and has great sightlines. Back to E, I apologize. The use will not have D, the use will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual access to water bodies.
I'll go with not applicable.
There is a stream on the back side.
Is it a private property? So it's not restricting access to water body?
But they are relocating the trail to that area, so
So it's maintaining access, if anything,
correct.
or improving.
The site design is in conformance with all flood hazard protection regulations, and any proposed construction, excavation, or fill will not affect a water body's ability to store flood water.
I think it meets that.
Yep, we're not building any flood zone areas, so. Adequate provision for all disposal of all wastewater and solid waste has been made. All sanitary and solid waste are treated in a manner approved by qualified professionals, together with agreements necessary for the transportation, disposal, and storage of hazardous materials.
I would say yes, due to the fact it's an unmanned site.
Do you guys have a porta potty on site? Is that the
During
plan?
construction, yeah.
Yep. After construction, nothing?
No.
Okay. Unmanned though, so.
Mhm.
Adequate provisions for the transportation, storage, and disposal of any hazardous materials has been made. We do have a decommission plan for any hazardous materials at the end of the project, correct?
Yep.
During the project, there's no storage of contaminated or hazardous materials. Stormwater drainage system capable of handling a 25-year storm without adverse impact on adjacent properties has been designed.
I think we gave specific examples of each of these that might
Yeah, I think
that
that's what
reference
Tom.
to like the stormwater permit and everything.
I think that's what Tom was looking for.
Okay, yeah, so I
Yeah.
figured.
I was trying to find it, but I'm not gonna find it in time.
I think it's the.
In their
Section.
application, it actually goes piece by piece on
Yeah.
each of these.
Doesn't go in.
That's what Heather's. Tom's pulling up right
Yeah,
now.
I'm trying to find the exact.
He's under pressure now, so he's.
Yeah. Now it's game over.
Trying to type while someone's
You're
watching.
looking for, what's it called?
Stormwater.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. C section.
I.
It's in here.
You already went past it.
Did I?
Yep, it's in that section right there. They listed out, construction sequencing, performance standards. The project has maintained a zero net increase in stormwater runoff out of rates between the pre-development and the post-development condition on site. See attachment 5. So,
It was a different number. It's not my fault.
There's also on the package that was provided tonight, they show pre and post stormwater drainage.
Oh.
and then here as well. If you guys look on page, if you guys want to follow along, page 11, 12, and 13, they have answered all these questions as we were going through them. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what we went through last time.
Yep.
To do all this.
Lovely application, by the way.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So,
Okay.
adequate provisions to control soil erosion and sediment have been made. Building locations or engineering measures ensure that wetlands or water bodies will not adversely affected by erosion, runoff, or pollutants.
Again, the package tonight shows that and shows adequate
So,
provisions for that.
And they filed a general main construction permit application with the MDEP.
they will.
Right there.
So the only thing I don't see on here, which is fine, but there is no plan for the laydown yard. If that gets disturbed in any way, we'd expect that BMPs are followed for that. Sediment control is followed for that.
For sure, yeah. And I think we talked about this last time, just the few conditions. I don't know if you were here for the conditions.
I was not here last meeting, but
One of them is this, the road commissioner wants to take a look at our final plan designs for both the access onto Killick Pond, the temporary one, and the access that we're gonna do onto Old Limerick. Just to make sure that we're putting in actual construction entrances and not just driving in and off.
so he wanted to inspect your construction entrances.
He just wanted, I think we said, road commissioner to review and approve temporary access and construction access prior to starting construction. We kicked the can a little bit on it because the contractor's gonna do those designs, and I don't know who that is yet, so.
Yep, fair enough. That's best management price, pretty standard.
Yeah, it'll be built into their SWIP, so.
Yep.
Soil and water pollution prevention plan, stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Yep. There's adequate water supply to meet the demands of the proposed use.
There's no water.
There is
There's no water,
no water
needs on
no water
site
use on the site.
once it's done.
The development provides for appropriate buffering of adjacent uses where there is a transition from one type of use to another, and for the screening of mechanical equipment, loading, service, and storage areas and parking lots, buffering must be designed to provide a year-round visual screen and reflect the character of the area.
So that was something brought up at the site walk, and you guys were saying that you're gonna make sure that buffering is in place. And
Yeah. Planting by the access road and then selective clearing, just taller trees along the southeast and southern ends.
In their application, their answer to this question was, the development provides for appropriate buffering of adjacent uses where there is a transition from one type of use to another use, and for the screening of mechanical equipment, loading, service, and storage areas and parking lots. Buffering must be designed to provide a year-round visual screen and to reflect the character of the area.
There's pretty heavy growth there.
Yep.
So there ain't gonna be much visual impact, I don't think, once it's finished.
And they do have 2 rows of 6-foot-tall evergreens as a buffer to install once installed.
Yeah,
so-
where we're standing today, there's just not, that's all
Yeah,
thin
and
stuff
that's-
that drops
that's gonna
leaves.
be-
So we're gonna augment that.
That's gonna be maintained for the life of the project.
Yeah, that was another condition.
That
we were
was in the
talking
conditions
about.
too, that's right.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
can
those
read those
ones.
real quick if you want, but I do want to finish this and then I can.
Yeah, we'll finish this
Cool.
and circle back. The use will not deplete or degrade adjacent water bodies or supplies.
It's not gonna pull water from anywhere. It's not,
I think we can agree with that, and the fact that it's not gonna be using any water. Maybe it's-
Correct. The use will not adversely burden existing municipal infrastructure.
fire chief's been, he gave a sign off, right?
Yep.
You got a fire chief sign off, so municipal infrastructure there.
Their traffic is almost 0 after construction.
Yep. And there's plenty of traffic in that area already.
And then adequate provisions for fire protection have been supplied to the intended use, for the intended use.
Again, fire chief sign off.
Yeah, he required a Knox box, and the applicant agreed to some additional training for the fire department, which was great.
And they put,
We asked for an additional entrance.
Yeah,
That was the other
exactly. Next additional gate in the back.
Right.
And that's a great segue to the 3 conditions that I remember. Make sure the fire chief, prior to construction, make sure the fire chief approves or okays the access. And that was basically it. Make sure the fire chief agrees with the access conditions that we're putting into the final plan. To road commissioner, make sure prior to construction, make sure the road commissioner reviews the final design and gives his approval. And then maintain planted buffer survivability guarantee, so that there'll be,
survivability, that was what it
let's come up with some metric for that.
Yeah, and those hammerheads that you're putting in at the entrance, they need to be commercial size. They need
Yeah,
to
I'm
be big
gonna
enough for the fire truck to get in there and turn
Yeah,
around.
exactly, yeah. I think their designs, T25, I can't remember what the terminology is, but I think they're designed big enough, with a big enough radius, you can get a full-size truck in, but I'll
Right.
double check.
Evergreen buffer. All right. So unfortunately, we'll have to wait until the next public hearing to vote on the approval or denial, unfortunately. But I think we have covered every.
Why'd you have to say denial?
I think we've covered every topic. Heather, if you're taking notes, I guess probable conditional uses that we would want to have would be applicant to provide fire training upon activation, and then 5-year annually, or at the request of fire chief. CMP approvals submitted to the town prior to construction. Main general construction permit submitted to the town upon receiving. That's just
What's
the
that
notice of
last,
intent.
what's the one you just said?
The main general construction permit. That's just the notice of intent. So if we just get a copy of the application and then any correspondence after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's prior to us giving a building permit?
Prior to construction, they're gonna need that.
Main MCGP, main construction general permit.
Yeah, I had it backwards.
Yeah, just in
Main-
case she looks it up.
Okay, yeah.
Easy to find.
I filled enough of them out, you think I'd memorize them by now.
Too many letters.
The road commissioner to approve final temporary entrance design and location. Fire chief to approve final access points prior to construction. Maintain evergreen buffer with sustainability plan. Was there any others?
You talked about the road commission approving the final entrance,
Temporary
the
entrances.
final and the temporary. What?
Or
just the temporary?
the final will only change.
With
The final is what we've designed. The temporary is that he wants to make
Okay.
sure that we put
Yeah,
in
good.
rumble strips and all that.
Yep.
So it's really, he wants to look at it for construction level.
Yeah, so maybe that's a bad wording. Maybe Heather can kind of tune that up a little bit, but
Yep.
the temporary entrance design, or however you want to word that.
Sure.
Well, you said final temporary design.
Right, so it was like,
Yeah, it's a little confusing. We'll get it straight though. We'll straighten it.
Right,
Yeah,
because
that's a good point, yeah.
the permanent design has already been approved.
correct, or to be approved, correct.
But wait, has the permanent design, the permanent road design been approved by the fire chief, by the road commissioner?
Oh, yes, that has all been signed off on.
Okay, so it really is the final temporary entrance design and location.
You can pick the wording, Heather.
And that's prior to construction?
Correct.
Okay,
Prior to construction.
all right.
Did anybody else have any potential conditional uses they were thinking of?
I don't believe so.
If the laydown area is used, follow Maine State best practices for sediment erosion control.
Yeah, and I don't know if you need a little restoration or not afterwards. I mean, it's basically gonna have to be flattened out. I'm
Yeah,
sure, your laydown
yeah.
area.
I guess
I
that
don't know
would,
if we leave it that way or,
as long as the best management practices are in place, I guess it's between you and the
Yeah, I
owner.
mean, it's kind of beach sand. It's a pretty easy site to work, so I think we'd say, typically I say substantially similar condition to pre-construction.
That's definitely acceptable to me.
Yeah.
You got that, Heather?
No, can you repeat that?
Substantially similar condition to pre-construction conditions?
If laydown area outside of limit of disturbance is used, sediment, best management practices of sediment and erosion control to be implemented and restored to similar or substantially similar to existing conditions, or prior to previous construction conditions.
yeah, if vehicles rut the place all up during the construction, which is certainly gonna happen, it just needs to be smoothed out, not left all rutted up.
What does laydown area mean?
It's where they're gonna stack all the boxes of goodies.
Got it,
Staging area. Is
Staging.
another word for it.
okay, that's
No.
it.
I assure you the landowner will stay honest about it as well.
I'm sure he will.
I think
He's a
if
stickler.
Dave is satisfied when they get done with the laydown area, we're satisfied.
I guess that was kind of my question. Is it, if it's private property they're doing the laydown area on, it's not part of the plan, or excuse me, not included in the finished plan, is it our jurisdiction to say that we need to return that? This guy needs to, excuse me, I'm sorry.
It's
He
certainly
needs to
within our
return,
jurisdiction.
to say that he needs to return the private property to where he found the private property if the
He's-
private property owner is okay with it?
If he's doing something that we're approving this project, we can require that he return anything that he disturbs to previous condition. And it did say as long as Dave was satisfied with it, we'd be satisfied with it.
It is called out in the plan as part of the project.
All right.
So I just want to make sure we're covered, as far as erosion control and sediment.
It's fine. Yeah, I would just,
Yeah.
if we don't say to Dave's satisfaction, just because I'll end up having to pave it and put a new building.
That's really good.
So,
That's pretty good.
He wants a new building
Yeah.
and water installed.
There was a building here before. It was
all right.
50 by 80. It's not there anymore. You need to replace it. Dave's satisfaction.
oh, man.
Perfect. Heather, you got all that with minus
Yeah, I think
the building and pavement?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, with that, I have no further comments.
I'm happy with it.
Thank you, and we will see you, we need to. I
24th?
make a motion to schedule a public hearing, April 23rd at 7 PM, to be notified on the town website, mailings to the abutters. Notification sent to the CEO and other town officials.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? So moved.
Just a
Thank you very
public
much.
hearing, no site walk.
Correct.
That public hearing is gonna be,
April 23rd,
yeah,
7 PM,
7,
during the regularly scheduled programming.
good deal.
I will only parting words say that's spring break. So I don't know if anybody's traveling.
Well, we'll
You'll have
see.
Lauren, not me. is what
We'll
I'm
see
saying.
one of you here.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. You have some public comment, Dave?
Just hanging out.
Perfect. So, we had a recommendation to enter an executive session.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
I make a motion to enter an executive session.
I think she has to state what the executive session's about, I thought.
Do we need to state the purpose of the executive session, or just that we're gonna have an executive session?
That's a good question. The purpose, I make a motion that we enter into an executive session to discuss the upcoming warrant articles.
Perfect.
Perfect.
That's good. Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 All those opposed? So moved.
Great.
So is it possible for us to keep the Zoom on, but not the broadcast?
Oh, no, we can keep the broadcast on, can't we?
No, that's
No,
an
it's
executive
executive session,
session
it's the
if
whole
you
purpose.
don't.
We can't do a public
Not for the
executive
public.
session?
Yeah, it's not, an executive session's not for the public.
We can come
We
back to
usually use
public.
it for human resources.
Ugh. Well, okay.
What we can do is, we can have the members that are not on the planning board in the Zoom, put them back into the waiting room, and then once you're done with your executive session, and you go back into a planning board meeting, we can let them back in.
Will this be then aired on the YouTube after the fact?
No, we would have, we can also pause the broadcast.
Okay.
Well, he can mute it and fade it, so there's nothing. Just maybe the sign. Can you do that, Ken? I can go right to the sign and go. Yeah,
Sure.
that's what we'll
Perfect.
do.
That works.
There it goes.
So everybody in Zoom, apologize, but we'll be back shortly. Good evening, we're back
Yeah.
to the Wednesday, April 8th Planning Board, back from executive session. Next order of business, public comment.
I'm not sure.
Anybody on Zoom for public comment?
I don't know.
Hearing none. Next item is planned for the next meeting. So on, our next meeting is April 23rd. First item on the agenda will be old business, public hearing for Bracken Solar Project. I'm not aware of any new business.
They have a week.
Say that
Oh,
again?
no, they had to have it in today.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had been today.
Say that again, Heather?
No new business.
Any new business or any other project needs to be in today in order for us to put it on the agenda for 2 weeks from now.
Correct. I said I didn't hear, I heard of none.
Oh, neither have I.
Okay, perfect. So that will be the only item on the agenda for April 23rd. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Opposed? So moved.